Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the PT Special Revision Series. This is the third episode of economics and I hope you have revised the previous two episodes in order for ignoring and neglecting redundancy. Let's move forward with the first topic, that is 𝐲𝐠 Riksbank Award 2020, popularly known as the Nobel Prize for Economics. So the 𝐲𝐠 Riksbank 2020 Award for Economic Sciences went to Paul R. Milgrom and Robert B. Wilson and for the auction theory. Okay, and it is given by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. The interesting thing is that it is not one of the awards which were institutionalized in the year 1895 in the will of the proponent of the award, Alfred Nobel. It was established in the year, this award, in the year 1968 by the donation of 𝐲𝐠 Riksbank to the Nobel Prize Foundation on the completion of the 300th year of the establishment of the 𝐲𝐠 Riksbank. So, it is then only touted as the Nobel Prize for Economics. And this award was for auction theory. Auction theory, we will talk about that. Now, both the winners, they will equally share the prize of 10 million Swedish kronor, okay, which is approximately 8.49 crore rupees. Moving on, so they have been awarded to improve the auction theory and to introduce new auction formats. The price of the auction is actually considered when we work on three segments. First is the auction rules, second is the importance of the auctioned item, and third is the information with bidders about the value of the auctioned item. So auction, when I say the word auction, mostly you might get a picture from the movies when the property of a bankrupt person gets auctioned and it goes to the highest bidder. And now auction is for other commodities as well. It goes in two segments, private auction and public auction. Private auction is for those private enterprises who want to earn the most amount of profit out of the auctioned item. And public sector auction is basically those kind of auctions which are dedicated towards encouraging social welfare and public welfare, such as the auction of spectrum for telecom. So, whenever an item is auctioned, it actually has its value determined on three bases. First, the auction rule and auction format. If it is a closed bid or an open bid, what kind of bid it is. Secondly, the importance of the auctioned item. A painting might not be that important for me as it might be for the other person who has a sentimental motive attached to the painting. That is also another thing. And the information with bidders about the value. A stone, which might turn into some kind of gem under some kind of pressure in the future. It will remain a stone for me if I am not well informed enough about the stone. So I will not bid as highly. But if another person knows the value of the stone, he will or she will try to bid at a higher rate. Now, one thing is known as the winner's curse. So, winner's curse is basically the curse when the purchase through auction of an item is more than the intrinsic value. And generally, when bidders go to some kind of auction, they try to bid at a lower rate in order to save themselves from winner's curse. Okay, so let's move on to ethanol blending roadmap. Ethanol is a biofuel which can be attained from the fermentation of sugar, and the ethanol blending roadmap 2020 to 2025 has been released. And the roadmap was presented on the occasion of World Environment Day, which is celebrated on 5th of June every year. Now, the theme for this year is ecosystem restoration, right? Ecosystem restoration was the theme, and the UN Decade for Ecosystem Restoration has been kicked off this year on 5th of June. And the target to complete 20% ethanol blending 5 years is going to be 5 years in advance. It has been, the revision of the date has been done and there has been an advancement, and now the target year is 2025. Earlier it was 2030. Now the plan is to increase ethanol blending of fuels to 20% to be achieved by the year 2025. And the objective is, of course, to reduce carbon emission and oil import. Carbon emission because the biofuels are mostly clean in nature. So in order to reduce the carbon footprint and achieve the national determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, government is doing so. Also, India is the third largest importer of oil, and in order to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat in the field of oil, independence in the oil sector, this is also a step in the right direction. And India is dependent on foreign countries for 85% of domestic demand of oil, and ethanol is a natural byproduct of plant fermentation and is less polluting than others. Sugarcane, waste, cereals, agricultural waste, these are the main sources for ethanol, and ethanol blending target 10% by 2022 and 20% doping target by 2025. So this is the earlier one, we have revised it. At present, 8.5% ethanol blending in petrol is done and 10% ethanol blended with gasoline. Okay, so keep in mind this is not 2030, revision is 2025. Okay, let's move forward and talk about World Investment Report, which is released by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And UNCTAD was established in the year 1964. It is headquartered at Geneva, Switzerland. So, $64 billion foreign direct investment inflows have been registered into India in 2020, which makes India the 5th highest FDI receiving country in 2020. India has attracted a lot of FDI in its own domestic premises. The first or the top 3 countries to invest in India are Singapore, the US is second, and the third is Mauritius. Okay. Alright, let's move forward. And FDI inflows in South Asia have increased by 20%. The report has mentioned the impact of COVID pandemic on global FDI flows, and demand for digital infrastructure and services has also increased. And the World Investment Report, the ICT industry accordingly tells that it grew by 22% to $81 billion. And we have discussed about the headquarters of UNCTAD. India is a member of UNCTAD, Trade and Development Report, World Investment Report, Least Developed Country Report, Digital Economy Report, Technology and Innovation Report, Commodity and Development Report. These are some of the reports of UNCTAD. Okay. So, next is INRA, which is a credit rating agency such as CRISIL, ICRA. These are the credit rating agencies. Similar, we have INRA. So, India's GDP growth rate for 2022, it has been estimated at 9.6 because it has earlier estimated it to be 10.1%. Now, because of COVID 2.0, the estimate has come down. Now, headquarters of INRA are in Mumbai. It is also recognized by SEBI, RBI and National Housing Bank. Okay, take a screenshot of this. SEBI, RBI and National Housing Bank, they have recognized it. And it is a subsidiary of Fitch Group. It covers financial institutions, urban local bodies and structural finance. Now, SEBI has empower to authorize and regulate credit rating agencies. Now, I could ask you a question that RBI is empowered to regulate credit rating agencies, but no, Securities Exchange Board of India does it. And other rating agencies we have already talked about. Credit rating is the quantitative assessment which gives a psychological support to the investors for investing somewhere about the credit worthiness of any institute. Now, logistics fuel. What are logistics fuel? The fuel which are used in the transport of commodities are known as logistics fuel. The fuel such as in, diesel and petrol in different trucks and buses. So, NITI Aayog, the public think tank of India, has released a report on logistics fuel. I could ask you, the National Highway Authority of India has released this report, but no, NITI Aayog has done it, and report has titled Fast Tracking Freight in India, a roadmap for clean and cost-effective goods market, goods transport. And Rocky Mountain Institute of India, which is a not-for-profit organization established in 1982, has collaborated with NITI Aayog to publish this report. And the report suggested measures to reduce India's carbon footprint as well as logistics cost, because India needs to reduce its carbon footprints, sequester carbon, and have its tab on renewable energy as well. So, renewable energy can go forward only we try to curb our carbon footprint from other coal and fossil-based resources. So, the report has said savings of around 311 lakh crore on logistic fuel costs is possible between 2020 and 2050. India has also taken innovations as hydrogen CNG, National Hydrogen Mission. All these can work in the same direction. And potential for increased CO2 emission and urban air pollution need to focus on reducing the cost, and India has the capabilities to reduce the logistic costs by 4% of its to 4% of its GDP. Okay, now let's talk about the employment status with the help of ILO report, International Labour Organization, and the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 21 report has been published. By 2022, global unemployment could reach 205 million, which is higher than pre-pandemic levels. Of course, due to digitization and due to closing and shutting down of industries which are labor intensive, this is the reason. India will be one of those countries because it has an industry of mostly unskilled workers, and a labor intensive sector is robust in India. So India is going to have the problems with related to unemployment. The COVID epidemic is the largest. The COVID outbreak is the largest responsible factor, and continued reduction in people's income have been there due to pandemic, because the wheels of the economy were not moving. Also, due to COVID, 75 million jobs have been reduced in 2021 and expected more to be lost to 23 million in 2022. The informal sector is facing more problems, and because of that, social security is threatened. International Labour Organization, which was established in 1919 by the Treaty of Versailles. International Labour Organization was formed in 1919, and it is the only tripartite organization which brings together the government, employers and workers across 180 plus member countries in order to increase the welfare of the laborers, employers and also the government. And it has won a Nobel Prize as well, Nobel Peace Prize, in the year 1969. Okay, and it is the first specialized agency of the United Nations, and that was in the year 1946. Let's move forward. And the reason for unemployment: workers and low-skilled laborers of the sector do not have the option of work from home. How can you expect laborers who are engaged in the construction industry to work from home? And we need to work on a work faster and quicker on a build back better strategy. That means whatever has been disrupted by the COVID pandemic, we need to build it back better with the help of skilling the workers and also having more robust policies on social security scheme. And social security scheme we have discussed, and the need to create productive employment is also there, specifically with the coming in of artificial intelligence and the mission of Digital India. Now, India wants to move towards the direction of upskilling and upgrading the workers, also creating a limited ground for artificial intelligence. We cannot sweep the entire India, which has mostly the labor-intensive sector, to learn artificial intelligence, work along with artificial intelligence. So, the need to focus on long-term labor market for vulnerable groups, upskilling them, and also making the group robust enough to support the laborers in forms of social security scheme. We need strong institutions, social dialogue, and international cooperation to address social inequalities. Moving on, ECLGS 4.0. Now, ECLGS 4.0 has been released. This is the fourth amendment of ECLGS, which is the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. That means credit or loans or advances are guaranteed in the emergency period, which is 3 lakh crore, and it was extended for 3 months. So, extended from 30th June 2021 to September 30th, 2021, provides assistance to micro, small and medium enterprises affected due to COVID. So, micro, small and medium enterprises, what are these? These are micro. If I talk about micro enterprise, is an enterprise where the investment of 1 crore is there in machineries and annual turnover is 5 crore. Then small is 10 crore in terms of investment and 50 crore in terms of annual turnover. And if I talk about medium enterprises, 50 crore in terms of investment and annual turnover should not be more than 250 crore. So, this is the revised classification of the last year. Okay, moving forward, about rupees 2.54 lakh crore cover has been provided under ECLGS so far, which was started in the year 2020 in the month of May. Now, to reduce the crises caused by the COVID pandemic and nationwide lockdown, this has been done because the objective is to provide guarantee and collateral free. That means no guarantee from the loan taker is needed. Guarantee in the sense, no loaning of some kind of asset is needed. Collateral free additional loans to MSMEs, business enterprises under Mudra Yojana. Mudra Yojana was launched in the year 2015 in order to provide loans to the micro and small enterprises, non-farm and non-corporate enterprises. Okay, so we have covered so many topics so far. Please keep on revising. We will meet again tomorrow. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.